I guess I realized that my emotional maturity has been kind of this security blanket for me, you know, and it has also made it harder for me to connect with people. I think I think for me to even talk about this topic, I have to go back in time, and kind of talk about how I developed this sort of emotional maturity from from a very young age, because it was always said to me like, "Oh my God, Jacob, you're so like mature for your age. You're always like so like put together. You're so like proper and like easy to just like talk to, and I feel like I've known this about myself for a long time, and I saw it as a good thing, and up until recently, even reading this like article, which I'll link it below because it kind of inspired this whole video. But up until reading that, I was like, oh yeah, emotional maturity, good thing. It's something you look for in people and friends and people you want to feel safe around, right? That's what I thought. And in part, maybe I still think that way. But I think there's a different kind of perspective that I've been developing because of what I read, but it's also kind of what I've been experiencing at the same time. It's weird, these events kind of they coincide. Sometimes I'll experience something and then I'll read about it, and then the other way around sometimes as well. Um, but I guess I realized that my emotional maturity has been kind of this security blanket for me, and it has also made it harder for me to connect with people. You know, I had a time in my life very recently, it was like the end of last year, where I started to close myself off in work. And I don't know if I talked about this on this channel, but I I became very insular, and I would only really talk in very like safe, controlled ways, and I was doing this at the time because I was telling myself like, oh, I don't feel safe to express myself, and that's, I was convinced of this. I was convinced that that's why I was doing that. I justified it, but it never felt right. It never felt right to be in work and just to not be myself. As my power goes out. 1 second. And yeah, I guess what I started to see was that me not being myself at work and be kind of hiding away from my true self was having a bad impact on me and my mental health, because it it never feels good not to be yourself, if you really think about that one. Because you know and I've done this for a long time, where I'll meet someone new and I'll put out all of my best traits, all of my, you know validating sentences, remarks towards that person, to make them feel good. And I'll kind of push that realness, that authentic self to the side, because I know that this will make that person like me, and someone liking me, someone validating me made me feel safe, you know? Me being always liked, always the person that's easy to get along with, easy to be around, made me feel safe. And I guess that's something that I did not realize. That's something I didn't see, that I was doing this. And, looking back now at all of the different people that I've met in recent years, I'd always feel this sort of like pressure, this like tenseness in my face when I would meet someone, because I'm trying to like smile so much and like be in such like a positive version of myself, that I completely forget that I'm just a human, and that I am I'm not always that, and putting that kind of pressure on myself just made me feel isolated. It made me write this story in my mind that was like, oh, I can have friends, and I can have friends if I earn them. I can have friends if I earn them. Listen to that one. If I'm this like perfect acceptable version of myself, I'll be able to have friends and people around me. Um and yeah, so I became this fully realized, emotionally mature version of myself, where I I would always be there for other people's feelings, emotions, and as a therapist in training, this is fabulous, but I was doing this for a while, and I didn't even realize that by doing this and by not really like genuinely expressing my emotions, I was essentially just putting myself away from me, and that never feels good, If you get real with yourself for a second, you know that when you act out of this people pleasing place, this place that's seeking validation, seeking acceptance from others, it never fucking feels good. You want it to feel good, but maybe it does. Maybe you get that bit of validation, that little hit of dopamine, but then when you think about the moment again, it's like that didn't feel good, because it wasn't the true you. So, just to give you a little bit of context on where I was in relationships, I would feel so safe to be there for somebody else's emotions and their inner world. I would have this acceptance towards whatever the other person was expressing. I would rarely ever judge them, and I would make them feel safe. But then when it came to me expressing how I feel, they would get this sort of like, I guess, easy to digest, easy to kind of consume version of my feelings, And this made it so I was, I guess, from the outside easy to be around, because I would never cause a lot of like chaos, or I would just be easy to be around, right? And I guess I didn't realize that this is part of why I couldn't connect with people as much for a long time, because I had put this sort of pressure on myself to like be this person who's always there for their friends, and always be the kind of person who their feelings don't take up that much space. They're whatever they're going through, they can manage themselves. They can kind of, be independent like that. And there is strength in being able to do that, and I'm not going to discount that, but also there is also a bigger strength in letting people be there for you, you know, and not being alone in what you're feeling, and knowing that it's okay to actually express your feelings and feel safe to express your feelings, And I'm not saying this from a point of, oh, I express all my feelings and I feel safe to do so all the time. Hell no, I'm going through this right now and with you, And if you do relate to this, if you are going through this, if you have gone through this, then yeah, know that when you do start expressing your feelings and letting other people hold your emotions, that you will connect deeper. That deep connection that you've been missing, that sort of human, imperfect, complete opposite of AI, robotics, whatever's going on out there. You get that when you let go of this people pleasing bullshit, because the true you is always going to be loved, and it deserves love. So, yeah, and I'm definitely going to make more videos on this topic, because I don't think I even scraped the surface in this little 10-minute video, but yeah, hopefully whoever found this video and resonated, I'm here with you, you know. But yeah, I got some other videos on this channel if you want to check them out. I got a lot of vlogs, but I do want to talk more about this stuff and make videos like this in my own unique way. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and enjoy your week as well. So I'll see you guys very soon.